Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of Game Chat. I'm Chris, and with me today we have Corey.
Hi guys.
And we're gonna talk about two main topics today, and they're being Dead Space Remake and Hi-Fi Rush. And then maybe we'll talk about a few other games afterwards if we have time. But we've both played both games, but like Corey's played a lot more Dead Space than me, and I've played a lot more Hi-Fi Rush than Corey.
Yeah.
So I think we'll start with Dead Space Remake. If you want to take it away, Corey.
Yeah. So I'm a big Dead Space fan, so I played the original back in the day when it came out. I've probably played it more than 15 times since then.
Wow, that's a lot.
I really like that first game. It's one of the best survival horror games out there. So I was really excited for this new game to come out. With the excitement levels of this game, it kind of switched around on me. So originally, I was more excited for Callisto Protocol than I was for Dead Space Remake.
Me too.
Yeah, I thought, this Callisto Protocol looks really, really good, and Dead Space Remake, they're just going to make the same game again. But why would I want that? And after playing Callisto Protocol, my opinions completely flipped.
Yeah, I'm the same.
And then I got really excited for Dead Space, and you know what? This Dead Space Remake, like, wow, what a fantastic game. So they've been really faithful to the original game. So pretty much every set piece from there is there. The layout is basically exactly the same, other than some little bits that I'll get onto in a bit.
Mm-hmm.
The way the weapon system upgrades and with the nodes and everything, that's the same. There are a few small differences when it comes to things like in the original game, you used to have to open doors using nodes. So you know the nodes that you collect to upgrade stuff. You used to have to use those to unlock doors as well.
Okay.
Special doors. You don't use that anymore. You have a security level that you have to use to unlock doors.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. So that's different. That never existed in the original games.
I didn't play the original, but like I've seen bits of it, and like the security level bit feels, I don't know, more realistic and more modern.
Yeah,
maybe.
Definitely. Then just shoving something into a hole and a door.
Yeah.
It makes a lot more sense. And the game's far more open than the original, so I wouldn't say it's not open world, but it's a seamless experience from one end to another. In the original game, you had to go on the tram and go through a loading screen to get from one section to another.
Yeah.
But in this one, you can basically just walk from one end of the ship to the other. So you can, like, I didn't test it, but I know someone who tested it at the very end of the game. They walked from one end of the ship to the other end of the ship, completely free of any fast travel systems or anything. So it's really cool that you can do that.
You still can use the trams though for fast travel if you want to.
You still can use the trams, yeah. So I'd recommend it as well, because once you've gone through those hallways a couple of times, it's a bit laborious going through something specific.
To be fair, when I played it yesterday, I did find that it's worth going back through them at least once again, especially if they've got doors with like security levels higher than you had when you originally went through them. Because I found like a few like
towards the end. Yeah, because of this security levels thing, it doesn't just apply to doors; it applies to some crates and some lockers and things as well.
Yeah.
So it is worth, once you've got some security level, a higher security level, going back through the levels and just scalping it and just trying to unlock all these things.
Yeah.
If you want to, you don't need to. It's not usually necessary stuff. Maybe you'll get some extra credits and maybe some extra ammo. So it's not needed, but if you're someone like me who has to absolutely like scrape everything, then yeah, it's the options there to do so.
Sometimes it's worth it though when you get like weapon upgrades and stuff that you wouldn't have found.
Yeah. Well, you can get the weapon upgrades. You've not been able to open them yet, but there's these boxes that you can open and you need. Have you seen the master security stuff yet?
I've seen like one door of that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's the only optional security level in the game. So you'll get 1 to 3 as part of the story, but the master one is an optional. Is
that like end game stuff, or can you unlock it during the first?
You can unlock it during the first playthrough, and that is you have to get the master override through a side quest, which I'm not going to tell you any more about. You have to go through.
Yeah, I'll probably
find out for yourself. But yeah, the game's great. I'd like to hear your opinion on it, being as someone who'd never played the original. So the difference with me is that I know everything that's coming. I know everything that happens in the game. The set pieces that are coming up, I know that they're coming.
Is there anything like you were surprised by that was different though, at all? as someone who played the original, or was it literally a carbon copy of like?
Yes, there is. I'm not going to tell you them
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
because it's going to spoil certain parts of the game. Um, there is a few differences. When you've finished, I'll tell you about them and we'll
'Cause I've
talk
heard
about them.
side quests are
But
new. They weren't in the original, were they?
side quests didn't exist in the original game. That was they're cool. Yeah, just the seamless experience, being able to go from one end of the ship to the other. That's cool. Some of the additions that they've made. So stuff like you got TK, you got telekinesis,
Yep.
and you can pick up stuff. You can pick up poles and chuck them at enemies to stick them to walls and pin them to walls and stuff. That never existed in the first game. That's actually a Dead Space 2 mechanic
Okay,
that they brought back into Dead
that's
Space
pretty
1.
cool.
And another really cool thing which they changed, which is a right choice to make, is to give Isaac a voice so he can talk, and he talks quite
Yes,
a lot in this game, and that never existed in the first game,
he
but
did.
existed
He
in the
doesn't
subsequent two
talk
games.
as much as having played Callisto beforehand, where everyone doesn't
Yeah.
shut the fuck up.
Mm.
He doesn't talk as much as I expected him to. Like, he's very quiet. But then again, if you're on
It,
your own
it,
for the majority of the time, you're not going
you're
to be
on
talking
your
to
own for
yourself.
most of the game, yeah, and for a vast majority of the game, there's only two other people that you're talking to. It's
Yeah,
the Johnston and Kendricks,
yeah, yeah,
and they're
yeah.
the only two people that
And
you're
they're
really
on that
talking to
video
throughout
thing.
the
You
game.
don't, you barely see them in person.
Yeah,
From what I've played,
exactly,
anyway.
exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, he talks a lot more than none that he did in the first game. So
Hmm.
yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I'm on my second playthrough at the moment. I'm doing New Game Plus, which is nice that came out with the game.
Yeah.
Playing it on PC, I'm having a great time. But yeah, what do you think of the game so far?
I'm really enjoying it. It took a little bit. Like the first hour, I was like, "This feels pretty basic." Like I could tell it was like it's based off an old game. You know what I mean? I was like, "This feels
Mm,
very old," in terms of the way it plays. But like, it's opened up a bit more. Like I've got more upgrades and stuff. Like the telekinesis is pretty big on throwing shit at enemies all the time, like
yeah,
stuff like that.
yeah,
Um, I think the atmosphere the game creates is really good. What it does that Callisto didn't do was like you're on edge as you're walking through like all the time. Like you know what I mean, regardless of what's happening. Like even if it's not, you're just walking through like a gloomy corridor. Like
yeah.
you're always on edge about something jumping out at you or whatever. Because like
Hmm,
it just
hmm.
kind of creates that atmosphere. Like especially with with headphones with surround sound. With
Yeah,
the
yeah. It's really
whispering
good.
as well that you just randomly hear out of nowhere, and it's just like
Yeah,
it keeps you scared in a way that I
yeah,
feel Callisto didn't.
yeah. No, Callisto's atmosphere wasn't fantastic. It did create the atmosphere. Like this game uses a director system. In Dead Space, the new one, the new one uses a director system. So
Okay.
it'll throw enemies at you in a not in a random way, but in a in a particular way in order to try and surprise you and get to you. So things like if you are playing and you die to an enemy, and then you have to restart, that enemy
Be in the
may
same
not be
place.
there,
Yeah.
or it might not be in the same place, or it might be a different enemy, or anything like that. Like it mixes it up. And just the way that they use audio in this is fantastic. Like if you're in a larger room, the audio cues and the enemy, like the music and stuff. It's not really music, but the audio cues for enemies don't
Yeah.
start until you see that enemy. So an
Yeah.
enemy can sneak up on you and just whack you in the back without you ever knowing that they were there.
Yeah.
Um, but if you turn around and look at them, then you get the audio cues and you get
Yeah.
the stuff that comes along with it. It's done really well. Whereas with something like Callisto, I don't want to end up just comparing this to
Yeah.
Callisto the whole
Yeah. Yeah.
time, but
It's hard
Callisto,
not to
like
though,
as
considering
soon
it's
as an
made by
enemy in the vicinity,
the same
you
person.
know that they're there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like
They didn't build the atmosphere great there.
I think the atmosphere is just one of the best things about the game. Like the graphically
Yeah,
as well.
yeah,
Like that helps as well because like it's so. A lot of the time it's dimly lit, but like the shadows and
yeah,
everything work really well. Like the
yeah,
lighting, where
yeah,
there is light, it's like very purposely done in terms of like
yeah,
so you know where you're going and stuff like that. But like it really works to create an atmosphere where you're on
yeah.
edge all the time,
No,
and
it
I
does.
really love that.
It does. It's got the same. It's got very similar like atmosphere and art style to the original game. Of course, updated with modern stuff. The
Mm,
game looks fantastic. It's using
yeah,
Frostbite, which is the same stuff like Battlefield and most EA games really use these days.
and usually Frostbite doesn't work very well, but it works well in this.
Yeah, no, it's working great in this. They've done a good job with this. Like it is like with stuff like 2042, which doesn't perform particularly well.
Mm,
How it looks, they've obviously if it, being able to scale everything back into like a single player game, it works. It runs really well. I'm
yeah,
playing this one. I played on an OLED. It looked amazing.
yeah.
With all the dark areas and the shadows and everything. No, it's a fantastic looking game. They've done
Yeah.
a really, really good job. A really, really good job with this. And I just hope that they go on to make Dead Space 2 as well, to be fair. Just follow
I
this
think they
trend.
will. I think this has been successful. Like everyone loves it. Like
Yeah,
anyone who's
yeah.
like Dead Space did, I think relatively well back in the day, but like I feel like all the
It
old
did.
fans love it, and it's brought new people in like me. So
Yeah.
definitely, I think it will
And
do
it's had a
well.
good following. It's always had a good following until they
Yeah,
absolutely buggered it up with Dead Space 3. That's just had to EA all over it.
yeah. I think they'll remake
Um,
2 and then not.
Redo 3.
Yeah, redo
I
3
think
in a way that might make it
redo
just a
3.
better game.
Because 3, I'm gonna spoil 3 because 3's an old game and it's a crap game. At the end of 3, literally like the world is over. Like
Hmm.
there's nowhere to really go from the end of 3 because they've killed everybody and everything. Because it's the end of the known universe basically.
Hmm.
Um,
Is it one
and
of
it
those
just
where
went
the,
off
the
on a
ending just
tangent.
ruins it, or is it just a bad game in general?
It's just a bad game in general, to be honest. Like I did last year. I did a replay of all the games 1, 2, and 3.
Hmm.
1, 2, obviously fantastic games. 3, I probably got 2 hours into 3 before I was like, I can't do this. This is just. The worst part is having the direct comparison after playing 1 and 2 and then playing 3, and it's just bad. It's
Hmm.
just bad. The amount of resource management and the gameplay style, the actification, I don't have to say it. It's too actiony, basically,
Okay.
compared to the first two. And the first two are pretty actiony games. I'm not going to lie. Like this is
Yeah,
a
yeah, yeah.
pretty actiony game. Yeah, no, they're just
I think with
that
this,
game is
it's
ants.
it's actiony, but it definitely feels more survival horror.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
There's
constantly
leaning
like
into survivor horror in this.
I don't know whether it's just the way I'm saying it, but I'm running out of ammo a lot. Like, but I think I don't know whether
Are
the
you really?
game make it. That's the plan of the game. Like that's designed that
Well, it's
way.
again, it's the director system, so it's set up in a particular way. Like if you have full weapons on you, you're gonna get ammo for each of those full weapons. But if you put your weapons away, you're only going to get ammo for the weapons that you've currently got on you.
Oh, is that true? Oh, okay, that
That's
makes
how it works.
sense.
Yeah, and Resident Evil 4 did something similar to that as well.
Because I've just got to the
Um,
point where I haven't got enough weapons for slots, so had to put one away, and I'm like, I didn't want to, but
you'll
I want to
you'll
stick new
find your
stuff out.
favourites, like
Yeah,
the
yeah,
like the plasma plasma cutter. It's like the best
yeah,
gun in the game,
yeah. That's the one I
basically.
got, the new one.
I maxed that out. I max it out as quickly as
I
possible.
swapped it out with the one with the that shoots the blades, but I'm like, I like that gun
The
though,
saw,
so I don't know what I
saw
might.
gun, yeah.
But the flamethrower is quite useful, so I'm just like, I don't know what one to get rid
The
of.
Ripper. I honestly like. I leaned on the plasma cutter and the Ripper for most of
The
the
Ripper's
game.
so useful
Most of
because
the
it's
game.
so useful for like close quarters. Because when they're coming at you, they literally have to go past the fucking Ripper when you're
The
shooting
blade
at
to
it.
get to you,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And then once you've
So
upgraded the damage on that, it goes like that.
yeah,
That gun is insane. Like you can kill 2 to 3 enemies on one blade on that gun after you've upgraded it a little bit. It's a really really good weapon.
but yeah, like in terms of
God, yeah.
like weapons, like getting a variety of different ways to deal with enemies is pretty good. I like that.
No, it's great. It's great. On my second playthrough, you get the achievement. Just like back in the day, I got this achievement on the Xbox 360 without even realizing that it was an option to get this achievement. But it's an achievement for completing the game using just the plasma cutter, and
Fair
the
enough.
game is completely like easily finishable using the plasma cutter. You don't struggle at all. That gun is insanely
I very
overpowered.
rarely find ammo for it, which is annoying though.
Well, you won't if you've got all your slots open. You won't because you'll be expected to swap out
Oh,
all
but
the
if you
time.
just have that on there, it will give you more ammo
If
for
you just
that.
have the plasma cutter, then you
Ah,
only get ammo for the plasma cutter,
that's
basically.
clever. I kind of like having the option to switch out weapons. Like I like kind of like
Yeah, never.
switching on the
That's
fly.
another one that was different in the original game as well. You never got to a. Well, you did. You had to store your weapons, but there were items that you had to purchase in the original game. So you
Okay.
naturally find them in the world in this, but in the original game you had to buy them, and they were expensive, and you could sell them again. So I ended up just selling all the ones I didn't want and
You
upgrading
can
my
buy
armor
stuff in this
instead.
game. Like there is like buying ammo, buying
There's a
upgrades,
store
and all that.
system. Yeah. There's a store system, and you can buy nodes. I think spending most of my money on nodes, to be honest.
Yeah, they level up stuff. Yeah,
And
very
just
true.
upgrading stuff as much as you possibly can until you get your suits. You should always upgrade your suits as soon as you can.
Hmm.
I
The
don't know
one
if you
thing that
upgraded your suit yet.
I've upgraded it once. I've got the option for the third
There you
one.
go.
I just got to save up for it.
Yeah, they're expensive.
The one thing that's like slightly annoying me about this game is like sometimes the AI. It's like you can kind of predict what it's going to do because like I find when I'm in a corridor, if there's when they just randomly throw enemies at you, Like there's an enemy in front of me, you can guarantee there's going to be another one coming behind me. Like
Yeah.
guaranteed.
I did get into the thingy of kill the guy in front of me and then immediately
And
turn
then
around
immediately
to
turn
see
to
who's behind
check,
me.
100%. Because
Yeah,
like I feel like that
you
happens a
got
little
to.
bit too often. Where I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
I guarantee it's basically a guarantee it's gonna be there. And I'm shocked when they turn
yeah.
around. There's not an enemy there, to be honest.
Yeah, but that's what they do. Then there's no enemy there for a few times to try and get into a full set of security, and then they throw
Yeah,
another one there.
yeah,
But
yeah,
no, it happens often enough that you always just check anyway because it doesn't
yeah,
take you long to check, does
yeah,
it?
yeah. I like the
But
enemy
no, it's
variety. It's pretty good.
yeah,
I've
yeah. I
gotten to
don't know.
the fucking
Yeah,
creepy little baby things now, and that I hate them. You know the little
creepy
things,
little baby
creepy little
things
baby things with the
with
little spikes out the
the spikes
back.
that come out the back. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
fuck
That's
them things.
yeah,
That's as soon as I went in
yeah.
that
They're
room and
messed
there
up,
was
aren't
like
they?
load of babies in tubes, I was like,
I've got baby enemies. You should see the
no.
baby enemies you get in Dead Space 2. There's baby enemies in there, but they're like babies, like they crawl on the ground, and all
Mm.
they do is they come up to you, grab a hold of you, and then explode.
Oh no.
And it's really messed up because they explode, but their heads just detach from their body, so there's loads of baby heads just rolling around everywhere.
Yeah, like I noticed. I've had
This
like
game is brutal.
there's like this head with just like little tentacle legs just running around and coming at me as well. I've noticed that one like a
Yeah,
couple of times. I was like, they're so like disturbing, these enemies. I'm like, and they're just running at you like, oh no.
Oh yeah. No, yeah, just a head with tentacles and a hand with tentacles or something.
Yeah,
Yeah, you'll
not a
see.
fan
You'll
of
see
them.
what that's about. You'll see what that's about later on in the game. That's
Yeah,
one
yeah.
of
I'm
the
enjoying the story though. Like
some
I'm
of my
enjoying that
favorite
there's
things.
like obviously I don't know the full story, so obviously don't spoil anything. But
Yeah,
like I'm
yeah.
enjoying the like the background of the religious aspect of it and I don't even know what's happening there, and
Unitology.
yeah, it's like it's creepy, and I'm interested
Yeah,
in finding out what's going on.
the
Like
marker, everything going on with the marker
yeah,
and the guy who founded it, and all of that. It's one of the better implementations of a religion within a video game
yeah.
because it goes pretty deep and the way that it all works. And no, it's cool. It's really cool. Like the guy
Like I'm
who,
intrigued to find out what's happening.
yeah, yeah. No, it's good. You get a lot more of it in Dead Space 2. But to be honest, there's a lot more. There's a lot more in the remake than there is in the original game as well.
Yeah,
They're leaning on it a lot more in this game than they did in the original. I imagine to set it up more for a potential Dead Space 2 remake.
yeah,
Um, that's yeah, it's really cool. Unitology, the way it's set up with the marker and everything, and because the way the marker works is it basically it sends you crazy before it starts creating necromorphs and things like that, and
yeah,
you can see that happening with
yeah,
Isaac. That's
yeah,
where the
yeah,
voices are and everything's going on. You'll see
yeah,
it more and more as you go through the game. Like Isaac's starting to lose it because of what's going on in the ship,
yeah. The whispers are
and
definitely
that's a
becoming more
part of the
prominent
game.
in the game.
Yeah, yeah. You wait. You haven't seen nothing yet. You wait
Like
until
I
later
haven't
on.
been playing with the subtitles on, but I assume the subtitles don't tell you what they're saying. The whispers.
No,
No, yeah, because I'm trying to figure out like what they're saying and stuff, but like I don't want to
no.
put the
It's literally
subtitles
just
on.
whispers
Yeah,
in your ears. Yeah.
yeah.
No, there's
That's
nothing
right.
like that. You won't pick up on that. But I really enjoy this game. I'd recommend it to anybody that either likes a horror experience or anybody that likes a survival horror game. All the Resident Evil people will be all over it, but they already know what they like.
Well,
Yeah, it's just a great game.
survival horror fans are like feasting at the moment. Like, I mean, Callisto
Yeah,
wasn't
man,
the best, but it was playable. I thought
it's fine.
it was
It was
fine.
okay.
Like, literally,
It
that
was
is
a
the definition
forgettable
of that game.
experience.
Fine.
Yeah,
Okay. Like, it wasn't amazing. It wasn't bad. There were bits
no,
that were bad, but like, it wasn't like overall bad. I
yeah.
don't think.
But you're playing that game, and then you go, and then you're playing Dead Space Remake. It's so
Oh
unfortunate. This is
yeah,
the reason they wanted to get it
yeah.
out before Dead
I
Space
feel
Remake
like
because Dead
yeah,
Space is way better.
yeah, 100%. Like, I feel like you can kind of when I play Callisto, you can kind of see the roots of Dead Space in it, but it's just I don't
Yeah.
know, it just didn't hit the same.
Well, it's made by I forget his name now, but Callisto is made by the guy who made the original Dead Space, supposedly.
Yeah,
But they've absolutely blown it out of the park with this Dead Space remake.
I think they
They've done really well.
overhyped Callisto, and
Definitely.
if anything, underhyped Dead Space remake. Because I
Yeah,
barely
but
heard about it. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like up to
I
running
don't
all
want
up
to
to it.
overdo it because the original game, the way that worked is the it's just EA and the way EA are. The original game, I think the original game sold 5 million,
Hmm,
and then Dead Space 2 sold 11 million.
hmm. That's
It
a
did
big
really
difference.
well. Yeah, big difference. It did really well. And then because of that happened, they're like, oh well, we've got to make Dead Space 3 sell 20 million because that's
Did
the
it?
increase we had from Dead Space 1. No, it didn't because it was a shit game. But that's like that they could just EA-ification. But to be fair, EA seems to be getting
They're a lot
better at this
better
sort of
now.
stuff. Like
What?
they seem to have
Yeah,
learned what's going on, and like these two Jedi games, and
yeah,
we've got this now. They keep cancelling Titanfall, the bastards.
yeah. Apex single player game they completely cancelled, which I was a bit upset
Yeah,
about because I like that world. Like, I wanted that game. But I mean, I doubt they're going to cancel a game that's good at the end of the day. And
yeah, well, we'll see.
It's EA, so you
We'll
never
see.
know. But
I can see him. Yeah, I think Dead Space. Look, if I just quickly look up Dead Space Remake sale figures. Dead Space Remake
I think
sales.
EA are interesting because like they're weird with their marketing because like apparently a really good Need for Speed game came out last year and no one's played it because they didn't market it at all. Like
Yeah,
apparently it's amazing there, but like no one really. I don't know anyone playing it. Like Kate's a big Need for Speed fan. She ain't playing it because literally she didn't even know it was out for a while. And then this is the thing: you don't hear anything about it, marketing wise. You're not going to play it. I feel like all the marketing's gone into Jedi Fallen Order, which makes sense. But like,
yeah.
I feel like that doesn't. You don't really need to market that because it markets itself because it's a sequel. If you know what I mean.
Jedi Survivor, you mean?
That's what you know what I mean. Fallen Order 2,
Yeah.
Survivor, whatever.
Yeah.
But
That's
yeah,
is that been delayed? Was that delayed?
it's delayed a little bit into. I want to say end of March, April, maybe.
Yeah.
I know it's delayed by 2 weeks or something like that. It's fine.
It's like
Like I don't.
delayed as well.
The way I see it, when that first one came out, it was a buggy mess. So if they can avoid that with this second game, it will do amazing. So,
Yeah.
if it's anything like the first game. So yeah, the EA are weird. Like they'll market some games and then they'll just not market others, even though they're not bad games.
They're going to sell. So the sports games and all of that, they're always going to get major marketing.
I think that's because they obviously the FIFA and stuff has a deal with, well, currently FIFA. So FIFA are going to like say, "Oh, you got to market it," kind of thing. That's why I imagine Star Wars is getting such a big push because it's Disney.
Because Disney's telling them you've got to push
it.
And they can push it themselves as well.
Yeah, exactly. They probably help with the marketing like funds and stuff, so that makes sense for that. But at the end of the day, they're bringing out good games at the moment. EA, I don't. Other than
I mean, what else have they got?
Especially on the single player side, like multiplayer side, like Battlefield.
Like I really don't play many multiplayer games. Like the only multiplayer game I'm really playing is Overwatch.
Yeah, and even that's crap at the moment.
So Wild Hearts Assassin's Creed. That's not an EA game.
Wild Hearts is an interesting one. That's going to be their Monster Hunter, and apparently people are saying it's really good. Like the previews and stuff. So that's interesting whether they can get a foot in that door because like
Monster Hunters, comes out really soon.
Yeah, Monster Hunter's had that out in the bag for a long time. So I'm interested to see whether EA can break into that.
Do you know what? I've not seen anything about this game.
That's what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. They don't market the shit. Like I remember seeing one trailer or something like that way back in the day, but like they don't. It's weird. They're being weird. They don't market their stuff, but then the games come out and they're great. You know what I mean? I suppose they're hoping that the hype markets itself. I guess.
Well, yeah, this is definitely the sort of game that will like voice of mouth. Like we're doing it. This is just Monster Hunter, isn't it?
Yeah,
it looks cool.
It does.
I'm never into these games. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to play it.
Probably not.
But it's cool that exists. It's cool that they're even just doing that.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Immortals of Ave. What the hell is it? Immortals of Ave?
I have no idea. I've never heard of that.
It's a shooting game. Yeah, let's have a
We've got Dragon Age coming out at some point, but God knows when that's happening. I don't think that's happening this year from what I'm hearing. But other than that...
I am seeing... This is the first time I've ever seen this trailer. I'm going to send it to you. This is a 4-month out of date podcast exclusive. It's
I won't be able to watch it now with the way I'm recording stuff, but
yeah, but I'll just chuck it in the chat here for us to watch it a bit. This looks cool though.
It's
only a cinematic trailer. But you can never trust a cinematic trailer to be
honest. Yeah, no, that's true. We've learned that lesson over the years.
Oh yeah. Never. But no, they've got some good stuff between Dead Space, Star Wars, and Wild Hearts. They're doing well.
Yeah, EA seem to be they're known as the bad company, but they're not. terrible at the moment. They're doing some good stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and Dead
No, it's
Space
good.
Remake. Yeah, I've only played like 5 hours, but like I'm really enjoying it.
My first playthrough was about 15 hours.
See, I'm glad
Um,
you said that because I don't want it to outstay its welcome. Whereas I feel
yeah,
Callisto did a little bit
yeah. Actually,
towards
still
the
not even
end.
that long.
Yeah, but even that outstayed its welcome towards the end. Um,
It got really samey towards the end.
yeah,
It just
100%.
got really samey.
But I feel like I'm enjoying the story of Dead Space more. So
Yeah,
I'm in.
yeah.
I'm gonna finish it. I've got to finish
You
it
did.
before the Harry Potter game. So
You'll do that. You'll do that. Yeah. Well, you've got. Have you?
I'm
Are you
gonna
going to
get the
pre-order
early
the deluxe
version
one?
probably.
So it's coming out on Tuesday.
Yeah, yeah. I can get it done by
Through.
Tuesday, hopefully.
Yeah, I'm sure you can. I'm sure you can. Looking forward to that.
Mm.
I'm looking forward to that. Even with all the troubles around, I'm still looking forward to
Same.
that.
Just looks good. Game
It does
wise,
look
just the
good. I'll
game
watch the
looks good.
reviews because if the reviews come out and they're just god awful, maybe I'll reconsider. But right now,
Yeah,
everything I've seen makes me enjoy this game.
yeah, yeah.
So we'll see.
Uh,
And then what else? What else is coming out in February? God, there's so much stuff coming out. We're eating well this year.
we
We're
are.
we, we, we're full.
This
We are
is the
full
year of all
this
the
half of the
games that were
year.
delayed last year, where we got barely anything
Yeah,
last year. All the games are coming out this year. As long as they don't get delayed, we're okay.
yeah,
But
yeah,
like, I don't
exactly.
think we've got a month without a big game coming out this year, which is wild.
Pretty much.
Yeah,
Pretty much. No, there's no Sony exclusive. Oh, there is. They got
Spider Man,
Spider-Man's that year, isn't it?
if that still comes out, like. But then again, we were all
Yeah,
saying last year that God of War wasn't going to come out, and then it did.
it did. Yeah, and then it
Everyone
did.
was like, "No, they're not
It
saying anything about it. It's not coming out. It's going to get delayed," and then it just came out. Like, they might announce like a month before it. Yeah, it's coming out this date. There you go.
Maybe they weren't so sure. Maybe they weren't so sure.
Yeah,
But
I don't like it when they give release dates so early and then just keep delaying them. Just give them later.
oh yeah, you give a
Give
release date
release
like
window, that's
2 years in advance.
fine.
So why did you bother?
But like, give an actual date. Don't commit to a date until you know. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Don't mind you delaying games, but don't promise on a date that's obviously unattainable.
Yes.
Hmm.
But
Well then,
yeah, we'll move
yeah,
on from Dead Space Remake. Highly recommend it, people. Go play it.
yeah, okay.
To Hi-Fi Rush. Now you've
Hmm.
played a little bit. How much have you played of this?
Oh, like half an hour, 40 minutes. Not played barely
Fair
any.
enough.
I've been deep in Dead Space. I'm not gonna lie.
Fair enough. So I played Callisto and then I was like, I don't want to go from Callisto straight into Dead Space Remake. So I needed a kind of a game in between as like a palate cleanser that's very different from a survival horror game.
Yeah,
And then we were watching that Xbox thing. Was it last week? I think it was last week
it was. Was it
or the
last
week
week?
before. Could be the week before.
Yeah.
But they shadow dropped Hi-Fi Rush out of nowhere, and from the people who made Evil Within of all people, which is the biggest surprise of this, I think. That it was just like it's totally not. You wouldn't think it was their style of game to make, but here we go. Basically, it's a rhythm character action game. So like in terms of character action, think like DMC Bayonetta kind of style, where you're getting like a score at the end of fights from like D to S rank, that kind of thing, where you're doing all combos and stuff. But the unique thing about this game is that if you do it to the beat of the music, it kind of you get a better score, which is really
It's more
cool.
damage as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does more damage. You get a better score overall. Like,
Yeah.
it's really cool because like the premise of the game is you play as this guy called Chai, who's he's gone to this company called Vandalay Company. They make prosthetics and stuff like mechanical ones. He's got a broken arm. He gets he goes to get a basically a robotic arm, but he through an accident ends up with his MP3 player iPod just like attached to his chest, and then they basically call him a defect and then send a load of robots to attack him and whatever. And but this being attached to him now as part of him, it basically moves to the beat of the music. So any music playing from that, like the world around him moves to that beat. So like you'll have like trees like moving in the beat to the beat of the thing, like steam coming out of vents to the beat of the music. It's really cool. And even the UI on the game moves to the beat of the music, and like that, all of that combined, like allows you to kind of like feel the music as you're playing it and just kind of like attack on the beat and stuff. And it's really cool, like getting those combos, and or even the enemies can only attack on the beat, so you know when to dodge at the perfect time, when to parry. It's really cool. Like the systems work so well. It's crazy like how it all just works together, and it's really polished. In terms of like the way it looks, like animation style, it kind of gives me Into the Spider-Verse vibes, mixed with like a Saturday morning cartoon kind of thing. Kind of like a Sunset Overdrive style to it as well. Like this game is dripping in style. Like it's so stylistically so cool, so vibrant, so colourful. Everything's cel shaded. Like it looks really crisp. Like one of the best looking games in terms of art style I've played in a very, very, very long time. But even the story and the characters, it kind of gives me vibes of Scott Pilgrim, or any Edgar Wright movie really. Like it's got that kind of humor in it, and it's really, really fun to play. All the characters are really cool. I feel like from this game, Xbox has got a new mascot in terms of like the main character Chai and his little cat, something 8. I can't remember what it's called now, but
808.
808, that's the one. It's really cool. Like that cat's always with you all the time, and that's pulsing the beat as well to how you play, and it's really cool, man. It's so cool. It's a mix of so much stuff that I love just put together, and you'd think a mix of all that is just going to make a mess, and it works so perfectly together to make like one of the best games I've played in a very, very long time. And it's something so unique that we don't. It's not like your average like a third person shooter or third person action game. It's like it's really unique and something different. It's a breath of fresh air to play, and I really, really enjoyed it.
I feel like they have knocked it out of the park with this game. Firstly, I really love the fact that they drop it and release it at the same time. Like, that's just brilliant.
It works perfectly for what kind of game it is, because like the hype about it's shadow dropped, it's on Game Pass. There's not really much of a barrier for people to play it like and try it out, and people are playing it and jumping in, and it's like even though it's got the hype of being a shadow drop, people are actually realizing but this is a really fucking good game. And it's not like because when we were watching it, we were like, it's going to probably be a Game Pass type game, where it's really short or whatever. But it's not. It's a good like 8 to 12 hours of just fun, and it's really polished, and it's not buggy really at all. I don't think I encountered one bug in the game, which is mad. Like crazy that they've kept this under wraps for so long with no one not leak with it not leak. Like, I think the name leaked like a day before, but other than the name of the game before they announced it. No one could figure out what it was.
No one knew it actually was from that. No,
and it's like to have this in their back pocket, and a good start of the year for Xbox because they've just dropped it, and it's like one of the best games of the year already. And I can see this being like in my top 5 at the end of the year. I'd be very surprised if it gets knocked out of that, because it's just so unique and different and a good change. And it's not just like say character action, like the gameplay changes up as you go along. It can change randomly to a side scroller for a bit,
like a 2D side scroller. I was surprised at first with that.
But it's like it's such a clean transition. There's no like loading or anything. It just like I remember one bit, it goes from like some smoke gets blown, and then all of a sudden it's side scroller, and then you'd like go for a window, and then the glass shattering and stuff allows it to like seamlessly transition into like a 3D back model again. It's like it's really, really well done.
The whole game is very, very clean. Like it's a very polished game.
Yeah.
The like I say, the art style is fantastic. I wonder how many people got turned off just by looking at it, thinking, "Oh, what is this cartoony game?"
Yeah.
But actually, they're not appreciating the fact that it's an art style. It's made to be that way.
Well, it's like Into the Spider-Verse, like how like all the characters are at different frames per second. Like the characters in this game are at lower frames per second than the background, but it works because it's that style. You know what I mean? Like, and it works perfectly, and they're so well animated as well. It's kind of like reminds me of a comic book, but come to life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it is, and it's the game's just fantastic. Because of the art style, it runs really, really well. The voice acting's fantastic. The
Mm.
characters in it are endearing
The
and
characters
fun.
are
It
like really like out
yeah
there and wild, but like it works for the style of the game. Like
yeah
some of the boss fights are really well done. Like there's one, don't want to spoil too much, but like some of it turned into like one of the boss fights turned into like a Guitar Hero style type thing, and it's like
yeah.
it's really cool. Like, and some of the use of like actual licensed music to kind of uh like change some of the boss battles and stuff like that. It's really cool. Like
Yeah.
a later one, which I won't spoil, but like it uses a particular track that everybody knows, and it's like it's used so well for that boss battle. And they're some of the
Yeah.
best highlights of the game, the boss battles. I think even people who aren't necessarily into rhythm games, like it's not too punishing either. So like even if you're not hitting it on the beat, you're still killing the enemies. You just won't get as you don't do as much damage. It might take a little bit longer,
No.
but like I feel like at the start of the game, like I'm alright with rhythm games, but like I wasn't necessarily getting it straight away. But like I'd
Yeah.
say by like a quarter of the game through, like you just kind of something kind of clicks and you just feel it, and you're not even looking at the visual cues to hit it on. You're just listening to the beat. Now I'm there playing. I'm like bumping my head, tapping my foot and stuff. Like I'm proper into the music. Like you just
hmm
feel it, and you know when to attack, and it's really well done.
Yeah. No. It's yeah. Like I think you mentioned before the podcast about how it should win designs for awards for its sound design
Oh
and
yeah,
the
I'd be
everything
very surprised
based
that if
around
that
it.
doesn't win sound design of the
Yeah.
year. Like
Yeah.
even the soundtrack of the
Uh,
year, I think it could win. It's got a good shout, but
Yeah, it does. It has
definitely,
proper license. It has
yeah.
proper licensed music, and what I've heard as well is that because it has a streamer mode you can turn on that removes the licensed music, and that the streamer mode music, which is all in house, is as good, if not better, than the
Well,
licensed
yeah.
music.
Even with the licensed music, it's not all just licensed. Like it is some of the stuff that's
Yeah,
made in house, and some of that, like I've downloaded the soundtrack. Like I'm listening
yeah.
to it at work. Like
Well,
it's
most of the
so
stuff
good.
is in house. From what I understand, the licensed music is just for boss battles, isn't it?
Yeah. Most of the music for like levels is stuff that is in house, but they
But they
kind of
know.
they when it comes on, it gives you like the list, the composer and stuff at the bottom and stuff. Like it tells you who made it, even if it is made by Bethesda themselves. Like
Yeah,
really
yeah.
cool. And I can't I did not expect. I didn't see this game coming, and I did not expect for this to kind of even seeing it. I didn't expect it to be as good as it was. And this
Yeah.
is like one of my favorite games I've played in a very long time, and I recommend it to anyone. Like because people who are even aren't into like rhythm game stuff, but like it's you will get it eventually as you're playing. Like
Yeah,
it will click,
yeah,
and it's really good. And even if it doesn't, you can still play through the game. The story's great. The characters are great. It's just a fun time, and it's so vibrant and just looks amazing and runs amazing. And I can't like this is one of my favorite games
can't
of
recommend
all
enough.
time. It's really
Yeah,
good.
yeah, and it just came out of nowhere. That's the best
Yeah,
bit.
yeah, and this is the start of what could be a very good year for Xbox if everything
Yeah, we
else
hope
that
so.
they've got coming
We
out
hope
hit.
so. Because let's be perfectly honest, they need it. They
Yeah,
need
because last year was
a
they
good
didn't.
year.
Did they even have a release? Oh, they had Pentiment, which apparently is amazing, but like that was a very small release.
The problem is when you have stuff like that next to your God of Wars and your
Yeah,
Horizons, and people are looking
they
at,
need the big
and they're just
releases for
like,
sure.
they need the big releases. They need the big
But to be fair, I was
releases.
looking into this because like I know they didn't have much last year, but like I can't. I'm looking at Metacritic scores and stuff. It's been a very long time since Xbox has released a bad game that's
Yeah,
below like
yeah,
80. But
yeah,
like
pretty much.
because it's so few and far between up to now, they don't really. No one notices. You know what I mean?
hmm
Because like, I was
mm
thinking back, I was like, Pentiment got really good scores. Psychonauts 2 got really good scores. Like even Halo, even though it's an issue now, it was good at the time. It got really good scores. Like
Yeah,
Forza, they don't miss with Forza, so it's like they've had a lot of good games coming out. It's just not at a regular
at
cadence. You know what
regular
I mean?
intervals.
Yeah.
Yeah, not at regular intervals. Where Sony's managed to,
But even still, I was looking last year. Last year I was just playing for games because Sony only
yeah,
had two games, like big
yeah.
releases in Horizon and God of War, and we were all like, "Oh, Sony have had a good year anyway." Even before God of War came out, and it's like that before that was going to get delayed. They could have only had one release. You know what I mean? I think last year was just very slow for video games, regardless.
I think it wasn't. It was in general, yeah.
I think it was probably the
Well, it's,
most
this
affected
COVID
by
and everything, you know,
COVID.
it's to be
Yeah,
expected, isn't it?
yeah, definitely. But I think
Yeah.
Xbox could have a good year. Starfield, depending on when that comes out, that needs to hit. That's the one that needs to hit.
Starfield absolutely needs to blow it all out of the park, to be honest, and Xbox can't afford for them not to.
Yeah,
I think that game's going to cost an astronomical amount of money. Of course, it was in development before they purchased Bethesda, but they need this. They
yeah,
need this to be the big
yeah,
one, and they need to not put it on other platforms,
yeah.
which is a bit of a weird thing to say, but
It was a shame
the
for all the
only way they're
PlayStation
going to
people, but
stand out,
like this is how you
it is.
sell
But
Game Pass.
exactly the only way they're going to
Yeah,
stand out is by not putting these sort of massive games on the other platforms. This and whatever the next Elder Scrolls will be and stuff like that.
yeah. Like, here's the thing: like, Starfield needs to hit, and I think it will. I think that like even if they need to delay it even more, like delay that until it's ready. You can't be releasing a janky Starfield because like this, they're under
The
Xbox
problem is,
now. They need to be
yeah,
a bit
but
more.
it's a
You know
it's a
what I mean?
Bethesda game.
Yeah, but this is
It's
the
a
thing that I
Bethesda.
feel like.
There's no way.
I
it's not
feel
gonna
like
release
if this was
cheaply.
Bethesda alone as a company, not under Xbox, I think they would have released it last year, and it would have been a buggy mess.
You reckon?
Hundred
You
percent.
reckon they've only delayed it because Xbox has told
I
them
reckon
like you
Xbox has
can't
told
make a
them
shit
you
game?
can't release it in this state
Yeah,
because apparently it's been
yeah.
playable from start to finish for a very long time.
I know. Yeah, that's the problem. That's when they normally hit the release button, like you said.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
but
whereas I feel
actually, yeah,
Bethesda under Xbox will do a better job with that. I mean, look how polished Hi-Fi Rush was. I mean, it's very different style of the game and very different in scope, but like not a bug in sight that I found anyway. You know what I
no,
mean? So if they
no.
can do that with Starfield, I expect a couple of bugs here and there, but like if they can get it on the level of like what Skyrim and stuff is later after it's released, after the buggy mess they always released, or like Fallout or whatever, like what it is later when it's actually fixed. If they can release Starfield like that, people will be so happy, especially with Bethesda,
Yeah,
it being a Bethesda game.
they need to show off some more. Like if it is completable from start to finish, they need to now start showing. Like,
Well,
show us some
they've got a
show us
showcase.
one
They've
level.
got a it was obviously when they did that little Xbox showcase, they were like, we're not
Yeah.
showing Starfield here because it needs
It's gonna have its
space for its own whole thing because they couldn't obviously
Yeah.
they only had like 10 minutes on each game in that, but like this needs a big because of how big it is, it needs a big like 20-minute, 30-minute
Yeah.
like showcase of its own, which they apparently
Totally.
are doing and are working on. We don't know when, but I can't imagine it's too far. Especially when they said last year when they did their E3 conference that everything shown here is going to come out in the next 12 months. So they've got till June for this game to release unless they delay it again. Which I'm out of all the games that they've shown,
Yeah.
I feel like that's the one more likely to get delayed into
More
like
so than anything.
the end of the year kind of thing. But like, yeah, I think if that hits, they'll have a great year regardless. But like even stuff like Redfall, like that has the potential to be a great game. Still, I'm still on the fence about it because it's like it still looks like Left 4 Dead to me. But I think
It does
until
look
people
like
get their
Left 4
hands
Dead,
on it
yeah.
and see the arcaneness in it, because they make amazing games. Like Prey was
Yeah.
amazing. Prey is one of my favorite arcane games. Like it's the same people making this, so like there's potential for like an amazing world there. You know what I mean? An amazing
I
level
think
design.
the world's always going to be amazing, yeah, because they always excel at that. But they're the games they make aren't of this style.
Yeah,
They're not.
it's
They're
very
not
different.
like this.
Yeah,
Yeah, this is way more like normally it's a very heavily story oriented, like, and there's a lot of environmental storytelling, which I imagine there probably will be in this as well.
yeah,
But the lean is like action, get out there, kill some vampires.
yeah.
Like that is where the concentration will be.
Mm.
So we'll see.
We'll see. I'm hopeful. Like I have faith in them as a team, so hopefully we won't
Yeah.
we won't be disappointed. And I think even like
No.
you look at stuff like that Minecraft game coming out, that'll probably hit just like Minecraft Dungeons, was it that did no one saw that coming, and that was apparently very, very good. I played a bit of it. I really enjoyed it, but it's hit that audience that you know it's baby's first Diablo game. This will be baby's first RTS. You know what I mean? Forza, whenever that comes out, they always hit. I have no doubt that will hit. Like, they always do, regardless of whether it's Horizon or Motorsport. They always get in like 80s, 90s. You know what I mean?
They always do very well, don't they?
Yeah. And other than that, I don't think what else they've got coming. Apparently, like, what they've shown is like literally the first half of the year. So we don't know what's coming out in the second half of the year. Maybe Hellblade 2 kind of thing. Like, we just don't know.
Yeah, they might not just might be keeping it close to see what PlayStation's doing.
Because
Really,
they've got to show whatever they're doing at E3. You know what I mean? So they're not going to E3, but they're doing a conference around at the same time again. Apparently, according to Phil Spencer. Yeah. So
okay, so they're not doing E3, but they're doing a conference at the same time as E3.
Yeah.
I mean. And let's be honest,
they're just not at the show floor in E3. Apparently, that's all.
They're not paying E3 to be there. That's all it's going to be.
Yeah.
Like, what do you need to these days? To be honest, like if you're going to be watching a video online anyway, what does it matter if you're physically there or not?
Exactly.
It doesn't. It really doesn't.
PlayStation found this out many years ago, and then they left, and then they've done showcases ever since, and no one gives a shit that they're not at E3.
Yeah, exactly.
Would you a PlayStation showcase? They ain't done one last year, remember? They only did State of Plays. They never did a big showcase like they did the year before, and the year before that. So would you one, surely? Because really, you think about it, when we've God of War out, we've God of War out now. Other than Spider-Man, we don't, and a few other like Wolverine, we don't know what's coming next from any of the other PlayStation teams. We literally only know Insomniac. That's it. Like,
yeah,
it's gonna be an interesting year for PlayStation.
It will be an interesting year for PlayStation because they'll have less of their heavy hitters to lean on. Obviously, they've got Spider-Man, which will be their big seller, and it will sell crazy amounts.
Don't forget the big seller PSVR 2.
Yes, yeah. Oh god, have you seen that they've cut production on that because so few people have bought it?
I mean, I've bought one, but like, I am under no illusions that is gonna do well. At least at launch, like
at launch, I don't think it will do. I think it's a big expense. Yeah, it's a big expense for people in a time where
it's way too expensive.
They were probably pushing it. People are probably pushing it, getting the PS5 to begin with, and then getting an accessory for the PS5, which is more expensive than the PS5. It's just
bringing out a £500-something PSVR headset in the middle of like a recession across the world. That's basically not ideal.
Yeah,
like it's just not going to sell, and they brought it out at the complete wrong time, in my opinion. And I imagine they've took that into account. They're like, it's not going to sell that well at the moment because there's a recession, and then they're hoping like maybe later it will sell more when it like fixes itself in the economy. Maybe like I don't know, but like I would have just delayed it, to be honest. But maybe they can't. Yeah. Maybe it's because it's cost them so much money they have to release it now and just try and get some money back. So
literally, yeah. Like they can't delay this sort of thing any further. And the problem is the longer you delay it, the closer it will be to the next console launch.
Yeah.
Which, even though it might not seem like the PlayStation 4 is brand new, it's been out for 2 years, and they typically look.
You're looking at like 6 years, isn't it?
Is it 3 years?
Well, depends, because like they might, if they do a PS5 Pro or whatever, that's normally coming soon, right? If you look at how it normally goes in the past, like with PS4.
Yeah.
But like, I imagine all of that's delayed. I think this console generation will be longer because of all that's happened at the start of it, like COVID and recession and all that. I think the console generation will be a bit longer than 6 years this year. Well, this time.
We'll see. And also, I don't know if there'll be a refresh in the middle of it, because those original consoles, they were refreshed halfway through because even when they launched, they were not particularly powerful.
Yeah,
even at launch. But these new ones were like they're good hardware, and stuff really still isn't taking advantage of it as of yet. Like very few games are taking advantage of it. And as long as a developer actually properly optimizes for the consoles and the PC, then you can get really good stuff out of it. Unless your name's like Forspoken or something like that, which just releases shit.
Unless you're Square Enix.
Gotham Knights just releases crap.
You know what I think also part of the problem as well? I think a lot of these games have been cooking for a very long time, and then when COVID hit, it delayed it massively. So I reckon some of these are probably like last gen, were meant to be last gen games, and like, or maybe early gen PS5, and then they're releasing 2-3 years in, and it's like they're not wowing anyone because they were meant
Yeah.
to be early.
Well, but the problem is that they're not even putting in. Like, there's no way something like Gotham Knights that looks worse than their previous game on the previous console should run as poorly as it does.
It's not their previous
It's just
game though,
mad.
to be fair, because everyone's comparing it to Arkham Knight, and it's like that's not. It's just completely different like teams, but
Oh yeah, it is. But it's the
even
same
comparing it to
publisher.
Arkham
There's no way
Origins,
the
though, it don't look
publisher.
great.
You should even the publisher should be looking at this thinking, what is going on here, guys? Like, come on
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
You've got the most powerful console to have ever existed, and this is what you're doing with it. And it
Mm.
doesn't even run well at that.
Mm.
Madness.
Well, even now, like
Well.
you're seeing bigger differences between the Xbox Series X and the S now, like graphical wise. I've noticed.
Yeah.
It's a very good decision by them, like in terms of sales and stuff, because obviously the S sold stupidly well, but like you're seeing games now like trying to push the S, and the S is starting to like maybe struggle a little bit, I think.
Yeah.
Or there's a lot of drawbacks in terms of like how games look on the S compared to the X. Be interesting to see how that carries on over the console generation, because that's only going to get a problem that's probably going to get worse.
The problem's going to get worse.
Yeah. Unless they do the S Pro, which is just the X at that point. Like.
Yeah. Look, the S at the moment is kind of it's a 1080p console. They say it's a 1440p console. It does a few games at 1440p,
Yeah.
but really it's a 1080p console.
I mean, the X barely does 1440p sometimes.
Well, yeah, and that's okay. Like, people don't mind a low resolution. The people that don't care about that sort of thing will be fine with playing half as much for a Series S. The problem that a lot of developers are having is that the
scaling it down.
They're constrained by the memory and things like that.
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of developers are complaining about the Series S, is because it's making the cross development a lot more difficult for them for the Series X. So I imagine not the internal games or the exclusive games to the platform will be fine, but a lot of the third party stuff is going to end up struggling. We saw that with last generation, where the base Xbox One really was not in a good place towards the end of that generation, because everybody was aiming for the PS4.
Console that was.
Yeah, that was it's not doing well. It was not doing well at the end of that last generation, and it's still releasing new games for it now. Like Halo Infinite came out on it, and it works, but that's as much as you can say for it. Like, it doesn't run well, and it doesn't look good.
More than you can say for Cyberpunk or something like that. It probably does not run well.
Yeah. Well, it
doesn't run at all.
Thing that should have never released.
No.
There's a difference between bad optimization and
just shouldn't have released on that console.
Far too advanced for a system. Yeah. That game was just far too advanced for a system.
Yeah.
They should have never touched those previous gen consoles, but hey, never mind.
It's weird calling it like, because we still call like these current consoles next gen, but technically they're current gen now.
They're current gen. Yeah. But PS4's last gen. Yeah.
I turned my PS4 on the other day. It's still loud.
Of course, it's not going to get quieter, is it? Next to your almost silent PS5.
It's so loud. They weren't even doing anything on it though. I was just on the UI, and it was so loud. Like, it's bad, man. These consoles were made a lot better, to be fair. I just wish the PS5 looked better because it's fucking ugly bastards.
Well, yeah, but other than just being big, it doesn't matter. As soon as you put it somewhere, it's there, isn't it? It doesn't matter how large it is.
I think it's funny how that whole thing that came out where you shouldn't have your PS5 vertical was fake. Like,
load of crap. I don't know where that came from, but it was a load of
so many people were like stressing about it, and I'm like, even if it's an issue, I'm not going to put it flat. I've got no space for that shit.
Yeah, no, what a load of rubbish that was. Load of rubbish, but
anything else you want to?
What else have I been playing? Not much really. I'm hyped for Hogwarts. Hogwarts Legacy is the next big one for me.
That'll be our next big review on here, to be fair.
Probably, yeah.
We'll get Jake on for that one as well, because Jake's playing that. But like,
is he?
Yeah, I don't think he's getting the earlier one. Unless he is, he might do. But yeah, we'll definitely do a review of that. Probably not next weekend.
Yeah.
The weekend after.
I'll do what we will quickly talk about for a moment.
Yeah.
Because it is sort of related to the topics that we discussed. What do you think of the Last of Us TV show?
It's amazing. It's so good. It's so good. And it's like, I didn't expect it to be this good. I expected it to be good
It,
because of the people
yeah,
involved, but like,
yeah.
because like
It's got
Neil
good
Druckmann's
actors, I think.
involved, good actors in it. I think it's Craig Manson. He did Chernobyl, which is just a fucking amazing show. One of the best shows I've ever seen. Highly recommend anyone
Yeah.
watch that. Like, it's amazing. So I knew good people involved. I thought it was going to be of a decent quality, but like I didn't expect it to be this good.
The Last of Us, what an incredible TV show. By far the best video game adaptation of, the best TV adaptation of any video game I've ever seen of anything ever.
Yeah.
It's just so on point. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
And I recommend anyone that needs to watch it. It's continuing at the moment. We've only just seen we've seen episode 3. We're going to watch
Yeah.
episode 4 this Monday. Yeah. Yeah. Just what a fantastic show. Everyone should watch it. I think there's a lot there for people who don't even play the games. It's a fantastic show.
Like, it's just a fantastic show in general. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. And
like,
in its own right, you don't need to play the games to watch it. If you have played the games, there's a lot more to pick up on there. It's just brilliant.
But even if you have played the games, like, don't go in expecting like everything to be the same. Like, they've made changes, but they're like a lot of the changes I think are for the betterment of TV in terms of like it.
Yeah.
It makes it better to watch. Like, some things you do in the video game, I imagine would be boring to see in the show, but like they keep the main beats. That's the most important thing. They keep the main beats of the story, the key points they need. But the little changes actually make it more interesting because like it adds context to the world of The Last of Us.
A lot of missing context. So what happened before? How did it start?
Yeah.
How did it affect some other countries other than just the US? No, it's adding a lot, and those little added context bits are some of the best bits of the show.
100%.
Like the episode 3 didn't have it, but the first 2 episodes definitely did, and those little pre-intro roles are fantastic. They're brilliant.
Yeah.
And I hope they continue making that theme going forward for the rest of the episodes.
Because like it just it like, obviously in a video game they can only do so much. You only get it from Joel and Ellie's point of view, whereas I feel like with this now you're getting the extra context from everyone else's point of view as well. So it's like you're getting more story that probably would have happened in the game, but you just didn't know about it. And I think it builds to the world.
Exactly that. It's exactly that. Like you can only see it from their perspective, and though a video game I'd say is more open. In certain ways, it's also more limited because you have to stick to what the characters are experiencing.
Yeah.
You can sometimes go outside of that, but it flows a lot better in a TV show than it does in a game when you do that. And because Neil Druckmann who's the original director of the game, is also directing the TV show. He's making sure everything's going in the right direction.
And
he's doing a fantastic job.
Like, I wouldn't, even any changes they make, I wouldn't complain, because at the end of the day, it's Neil Druckmann involved. It's his vision for what he probably envisioned in the original game anyway. It's just like added on in the show to kind of build the world out, and I think that's amazing. Like, it works so well, and it makes us like, so we're not just seeing a rerun of the video game, like we're getting something new out of it, if you know what I mean? Like, as people who've played the game multiple times, like, we're getting something new out of it from all the extra context, and just, it's really cool. I really, really enjoy it, and I recommend it to everybody.
Yeah.
It made me want to play Last of Us Part 1, which I did.
I
started playing that,
really want to play.
Amazing.
Yeah, I really want to play.
Your PC one's been delayed, isn't it?
It's been delayed. It's from
the good thing about that, though, it's just after the finale, right? As far as I know.
Yes, it's just after the end of the TV show. So I can go from finishing the TV show straight and go.
If anything, that's good timing for that to come out on PC. Because everyone who wants to play it after watching the show will jump on then. Like, I'm pretty sure the sales for Last of Us Part 1 on PlayStation 5 have, like, gone up a ridiculous amount since the start of the show. Like, I bought it for one.
It was like, I think I saw it's went up by 280%.
It's ridiculous amount. Like, but that's what, like, we all wondered, why are you remaking a game that's not even that old? This is why. This is why, because they knew this would happen as soon as the show come out. People want to play it, like, at the end of the day, and that's why they brought it out, and that's why it's still £70.
Yeah,
Even though I got it on sale
Yeah.
before the show came out, luckily.
yeah. There was that short sale period
Yeah.
over Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Get a little
to be
bit
fair,
cheaper.
it's amazing. It looks amazing. Like it's one of the best looking video games I've ever played. Like
Yeah.
it's stunning,
Yeah.
and it. Yeah, they haven't made that many changes gameplay wise because they don't. Well, gameplay wise and story wise because they don't need to. Like, I don't think they've made any story wise, but like little.
Not overall, no. So like episode 3 was slightly different from what
No, I
happened
was
in
on
the
about
game.
the part one. I was on about part one in the.
Oh, you mean the remake? Yeah, sorry.
The remake. Like the remake's just really good.
I think stories is exactly.
It's exactly the same.
Yeah.
But it just playing it now. It feels so much fresher with a new coat of paint on it, kind of thing.
Yeah. And just bringing over the technology from part 2 back into part 1.
And some of the gameplay things of that, which is good. Like having the dual sense and stuff. Like you can feel it, and like it makes a difference for sure. But yeah.
No, yeah, it's a great game. We'll talk about more about Last of Us TV show when it's finished, probably.
We'll
talk about it because we know a lot of
Kate will want to come
that.
on it. Like, we'll get a bunch of us on it for that. Yeah, 100%.
Pretty much all of our guys are watching it at the moment, aren't they?
Yeah.
So when that's finished, when's the last episode of that? When is the last episode?
I want to say sometime in
1,
May?
4, 5,
End of May?
6, 7,
Start May?
7, 8, 9. It's the 13th of March, not May.
Oh shit,
March.
Okay.
13th of March will be the last one, and then the game comes out on the 23rd. So about a week and a half later, the PC game comes out.
See, this is the thing with the show. We're only 3 episodes in. There's so much more. There's so much left for them to do, and like you can kind of like look at it and map out what you think is going to happen in each episode from the events of the game.
Because exactly. Because the game's broken down into chapters, and you're like, you can do this chapter here, this chapter here, this chapter here, this chapter here, and you can break it down like that. And to be fair, it's not like the episodes are short. Like the shortest episode you've had so far is 1 hour.
Yeah.
And each episode is almost a movie length. Like the first was 1 hour 20. The third episode is 1 hour 15.
The first apparently was meant to be 2 episodes. Originally, the original vision was meant to be 2. But they decided because where they were going to end the first one, you hadn't met Ellie yet. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
So they thought we'll make it one big episode.
We've got to get Ellie. Yeah. I wouldn't mind after it's all done to get those 2 episode cuts and to get the 2 hour cut of the 3rd episode that apparently exists somewhere as well.
I think with the success of how this show's going, I think you'll get all those extra bits.
Like they have like a special Blu-ray version which has all that.
Season 2's confirmed as well, which is amazing. And season 2 is supposed to be Last of Us 2, so that's going to be an interesting. How that goes with the general public.
The hate that 3rd episode got for no reason.
Yeah.
And people don't know what is in these games.
No. People don't know what to expect. I won't spoil anything because obviously anyone watching this who hadn't played the game or is watching the show. But like, it'll be interesting how the general audience, not necessarily the gamers, but the general audience react to what happens in the second game. And what will happen in the second season of the show. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But I'm excited. I'm excited to see it. Yeah, I'm excited to see what happens because I personally I love it all. But I know I know certain people who aren't the biggest fans of part 2. So it's but they love part 1. So it's going to be an interesting to see how that happens.
Yeah, part 2 is an incredible game, but it's very divisive in the gamosphere. So it will be interesting to see what it's like to the general audience and what 100%. They think.
I think they'll do it better in the show, I think.
You reckon?
Yeah. I think it's easier to tell. It's hard to talk about this without saying stuff, but it's easier to tell that story in a medium of a show.
Yeah.
And I feel like people would be more okay with it because in the game, you play
the people that are in the game
people, so you feel like it's you, if you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. But when you're watching a show, you're more passive to it, so it's just entertainment happening in front of you. So it's not. Yeah. You don't feel as personally attacked from it. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean. I know exactly what you mean. I know exactly what you're getting at. 100%.
Yeah. So I feel like it'll go down better in the show. 100%. I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not gonna say much more because I will end up spoiling it, so I'm gonna shut up.
Yeah, you will. Yeah, so we'll leave it there. But I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, it makes total sense as well.
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, Other than that,
Well, other than that, I think that's pretty
I
much
think
it, isn't
that's
it?
it. Yeah.
No, yeah, that's a good
Yeah.
podcast. I enjoyed that.
Happy days. I think the next one probably will be uh, Hogwarts Legacy review.
Yep. So we'll play that. It probably won't be the weekend
No, come away next weekend.
of.
So it'll be the
Yeah, oh, there you go then. So it probably won't be the
weekend
weekend
after,
of.
more
So
than
do it the
likely.
weekend after. Potentially let's just get a bit more of the game in. So
Yeah,
we'll
man.
have a chat about that then. When is Atomic Heart out?
End of February. So that'll probably be the next
End of
one.
February.
This is the thing. We've
Yeah.
got, because this year has got loads of big game releases, we can kind of keep a regular cadence with the podcast with this. Hopefully.
Yeah.
So that'll be good.
We've got plenty to talk about.
Yeah,
We've
man.
got plenty to talk about as it comes up.
Happy days.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll leave it there. Thanks for watching. Let us know what you think of Dead Space Remake and Hi-Fi Rush in the comments, and also the Last of Us TV show, if you're loving it or not. But yeah, we'll see you next time. Leave a like, subscribe, all that jazz. Bye.
Okay, guys. Bye.